Okay, to commence this exercise, we've got to source the materials to start with. Okay, so what I've got here on the bench, I've got a bit of a full 4 metre length of the Clipsal 900 by 25 by 600 by 16 Clipsal duct, and it's totally enclosed in clear plastic. The second thing I've got is I've got a 900 Clipsal 900 series mounting block, which has the openings of the holes, top, side, top. On all 4 sides there's a duct entry and a standard double 25 series Clipsal power point. I'm using 4 Phillips head bugle head screws. These screws are 20 millimeters long. They'll be used to fix the mounting block to the timber surface behind me. I also have some double-sided tape. Now the double-sided tape, we'll be cutting 3 pieces of this 50 mm long, and they will be attaching those to the top edge down 50 millimeters, from the bottom edge up 50 millimeters, and in the center 50 millimeters. So cut 3 sections 50 millimeters long. That has to be accurate also, and we'll be cutting that tape with a tool from the back tool board, which is a set of sheet metal cutters that have a nice sharp edge, which cut that nice and neatly. What other tools are we required? We're required to have a square, to be able to cut a square edge on the duct. Another tool that we required is the conduit cutters. We'll use the conduit cutters to cut the duct, but there's a method in cutting the duct that I'll show you as I go through the process. We have a measuring tape to be able to measure how long we want it to cut, and to put our measurements on the wall. We have a rattle gun with a Phillips head bit in it. Now the Phillips head bit goes into the actual rattle gun by just moving the little sleeve forward and pushing it in, then releasing the sleeve, and that locks it in position. And we do the opposite to get it out. We have a battery drill with a 4mm drill bit to drill our hole centres in the back of the duct for a future scenario when we're going to screw that same duct to the wall. Now to put that into the drill, we insert it, we roll up tight by hand, get it reasonably tight, and then go back 1 click until we hear the click. And that releases the tension off the chuck so that the spring doesn't keep on winding up. If you fail to do that, or you use the trigger to do it up tight, and don't release it like that, what will actually happen is the spring inside of the actual keyless chuck will keep on winding up, and over time it'll lock and the chuck will have to be replaced. So we try and minimise the replacement costs and look after our tools, and that's the correct method in attaching either a drill bit or other type of bit inside the chuck. Now the first part of the actual exercise asks us, once we've got all the tools, we've got to actually complete a risk assessment. Now I can fully appreciate that in the situation where you're learning to do something, you don't always know all the risks. The PPE that we're putting on doesn't reduce the risk in most cases at all, other than possibly a headwear, eyewear or ear protection, which can be excessive noise or flying particles or objects that may fall down upon our head or we may bump into in the process. So it's very, very difficult for a student, I can appreciate, to assess all the risks associated. But just to point out a couple that may be applicable in the situation, and that is, you're going to be using a drill, a battery drill, a sharp edge conduit cutter or PVC pipe cutter. You're going to be using pointy screws. You're going to be using a sheet metal cover with a sharp edge. All these particular devices have the ability to cause an accident or cause injury to you. So correct use is very important. Nobody can predict that any one of these scenarios isn't going to make it so that you will not get injured. However, if you're careful in how you use the equipment and you use the equipment correctly and don't rush, 99% of the time you'll walk away from the site safe. However, you cannot predict how everybody's going to do something, and you can't predict that all the equipment is going to work exactly as it's supposed to do all the time. So therefore, the risk assessment has to take care of the anomalies that may occur, even though you believe that they may not occur to you. So in this situation, we're going to be working on a wall, we're going to be kneeling down, we're going to have probably tools around the floor, so we're going to have to make sure that the floor space around us is actually totally clear, of any projectiles. If we actually work in this area, we don't want to be tripping over tools. We want to make sure the tools are actually in a nice order on the bench or adjacent to the work area. Because we're marking and using sharp edged equipment like the concrete cutters and the sheet metal cutters for cutting the tape, and using drills with drill bits, and using a battery drill with like a rubber gun with a Phillips head bit in it, these all potentially can cause harm to your hands and have flying objects going around. So safety glasses is paramount. There isn't going to be undue noise, so that most likely won't be a hazard here. But the other issues, the other anomalies, all come into play. Okay, we'll make a start. So we've got to measure our detail on the wall first. And to do that, we need a pencil. And the reason why we're doing it in pencil is because we don't want permanent marks on the wall, and we want to make it so that the person coming after us can actually have a clear wall to work on. So I'll just turn the camera around so you can see the workplace slightly better. Okay, so here we are. So the first measurement I'm going to make is 1050 above the ground. That's 1050 there. And I'm going to put that into the centre of this wall space. Requires you to do a bit of maths in your head. So that wall space happens to be about 607 wide. So we go half over 607, which is around about 3035. I now get a level. A level from the shadow board. I make one light horizontal line where the 1050 was. So it's slightly wider than the actual mounting block. So I can see it on both sides of the mounting block when I mount the mounting block. Just a light line like so. And then I mark a vertical line on the centre. Once again, so it goes down past the mounting block in both cases. Make it a bit longer so that when you put your duct on, you can see the line inside the holes that you drill in the duct, so you know where the centre of the duct's going to be. And you should end up with two lines like that. Notice how I'm putting my tools out of the work area each time I use a tool. My next task is to mount the mounting block. Now the mounting block comes with some little blanks that you insert into the sides that you're not actually using. So to open that blister pack, I actually use the sheet metal cutters. I'll go back into the horizontal view again so you get a wider view. Always make sure that when you use a tool that you put it back into the lock position at the end of it. You don't leave it in its open position with potentially two sharp edges are facing it. And because I'm only using the one duct, I insert these. Now you'll see in the scenario there's a little rebate where that gets inserted. You just clip it in there like so, by hand, and it pushes in there like so, and you end up with that gap being filled like that. You can do that on 3 of the 4 sides. You just leave open one side on the bottom. Once again, here we go. So here we are, I insert that like so. Get it nice and flush there, then just click that edge in behind and just push it through like that, and there we are, nice and clear. Okay, I'll do that one more time. See the little rebate there, that little rebate sitting inside there? Okay, the little serrated edge, one slightly recessed. I push it in like that. Electrical work majority of the time isn't muscle, it's method. And the method's correct, 99% of your work you'll be able to do without any issue whatsoever. Okay, I now get my 4 Phillips head screws and I mount the mounting block. I attach the screw to the end of my Phillips head gun like so. I make sure it's going in the clockwise direction. That's the forward direction to do it up. I'm going to centre this by eye. If you want to mark the block centres at the back, it's not a bad thing to do that. So in fact, I might just show you how to do that before I go any further. So what I'll do is I'll just measure and just put a pencil line where the centre is on the back of the block so it can easily be wiped off. It's 105 millimetres, so that makes it what? Half 105. It's approximately 52 and a half. Oh, sorry, it's 115, I beg your pardon, so that's 57 and a half. I mark one of the sides. Sides happens to be 73. So what's that? 36 and a half. Those pencil lines that I put on the block line up with the lines on the wall, I can be pretty sure that my block is going to be exactly where it needs to be. Okay, once I've done that, I can insert one screw. Once I've inserted one screw, I want to make sure that relative to the actual block, the actual mounting block is actually sitting level. We're going to use this long level because we don't have another one in stock, but there's no reason why you may have your own tools as such in the workplace, and you may have the smaller level. Okay, so I can leave the level there just temporarily once I get another screw ready. Get another screw ready. I can hold the block, hold it so it's level. Put one hand on the level, one hand on the block, and just slide it up on the wall until I know that the bubble is sitting dead centre in those 2 lines, like so. I'll put the second screw in. Once you've got 2 screws in and you know that it's level, you put the level down away from where you're going to be walking, and you can insert the other 2 screws. In most cases, what I would normally do is do the 2 diagonal holes first. That way you know it's going to stay square. Get my tools out of the work area so they won't be tripped over. The next thing we're going to do, because we're going to actually be putting duct on the wall, we don't want to actually have the double-sided tape to stick to the wall. So what we're going to do, we're going to put some duct tape on the wall so that when we stick the double-sided tape, we can pull that off the wall ready for the next person to use the same wall. So I'm just going to press pause for a sec and we'll get that equipment ready for you.